Guys, we are so close to the NFL season. It's not even funny. We are 3 weeks out from the Week 1 NFL season. September 5th, 8th, or 6th and 8th of Week 1 of the NFL regular season, and it is awesome. We are about to be done and getting deeper into our training camp coverage. We're about to conclude our training camp coverage next week. Next week, we will conclude our training camp coverages. Then we're going to have this week and then next week of training camp coverages, and then we're going to be done and get to our preseason Q&A, which is on August 29th. You're not going to want to miss that episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, we're going to be talking about training camp today. 3 glorious training camps, but we're also going to talk about the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report, because why not? It's back already, so why not? Going to talk about that. We're going to discuss the latest trades, contracts, updates, and holdouts, and everything going on around the league. You're not going to want to miss this episode, so stay tuned, relax. Not Dr. Joel today, but I might as well be, because a lot is going on in the league. Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, type in Pigskin Frenzy, follow, like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates, news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories, going to answer today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. That's the website. You're going to get all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. There's a home and about me page. Learn more about me. There's a contact form down below to answer. I'll answer your question on the show or through the website. There's also a platforms page for all the platforms I just mentioned. You can go click and see which one's your favorite listening style to listen to the podcast on, as well as our affiliations page, which brings us to our partners at the Beard Club. Guys, if you want a great shave, this is for significant others of male counterparts. You're going to like this from your husband or significant other. Male counterparts, listen up. Your wife's going to love it, as well as college kids listening to the show, because we got a back-to-school sale going on at the Beard Club. Back-to-school sale, 25% off with the code BTS25 right now for beard grooming kits to make your facial hair and beards and face look great. Beard grooming kits comes with a razor, boar, bristle brush, beard balm, beard oil, beard and face wash, combs, and more with the beard grooming kit. You also can get 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, loofahs, body wash, and more at the Beard Club. Guys, go to our website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will go to the affiliations page, click on the Beard Club logo, and then you will go to the website to get your products. There, you can also go to my link tree. My link tree is at the description of this YouTube video for this episode right now, as well as on my X bio, my Instagram bio, and my Facebook bio. Click on the link tree, then you will click on the Beard Club link and get to your products from Pigskin Frenzy. The Beard Club, proud partner of the Pigskin Frenzy podcast, and it's going to make your facial hair needs and grooming needs be met. Thank you to our proud partners at the Beard Club. Guys, we're also, one thing more before we get started on the NFL episode, we got our giveaway. Dun, da, da, da. Giveaway. It ends Sunday. This is our last time promoting our giveaway on this episode, on this, this year's giveaway. Our second kick-off the season giveaway, second annual kick-off the season giveaway. Last chances to enter is Sunday at 6 p.m. Entry stop then. Free giveaway. Calling all college football, SEC, and Mississippi State football fans. The giveaway includes a free large Mississippi State long-sleeve black t-shirt, 2 Pigskin Frenzy stickers, as well as a shout-out on the August 20th episode, this coming up Tuesday's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. The rules are simple. Number 1, follow Pigskin Frenzy on Facebook and Instagram. If you're a first-time listener, do number 1 for sure. Number 2, share this post on your Facebook and Instagram story, and with the story, hashtag PF podcast giveaway, and tag us at Pigskin_Frenzy. Number 3, tag 2 friends in the comments below. That's simple. If you've done 1, do 2 and 3. Additional entries are subscribe to Pigskin Frenzy on YouTube, follow Pigskin Frenzy on Podbean, and follow Pigskin Frenzy on X. Guys, entry stop this Sunday. Entry stop at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Winner will be announced via Instagram story, Instagram post, and Facebook post on Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard time. Hashtag PF Podcast giveaway. You're not going to want to miss this free giveaway. It's going to be awesome. Enter now. Last chance. Entry stop this Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. NFL Day today. We are rocking and rolling, man. We got that done a minute quicker than usual. We usually stop at around 6 minutes, but 5 minutes into the podcast already doing plug-in promo. We're talking about NFL, a lot going on, and we can get right down to it with our training camp coverage, starting with the Minnesota Vikings. Going on with the Minnesota Vikings, a lot happening in the injury realm with the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to get to that here in a little bit, but the Vikings are confident this season. They got wide receiver Justin Jefferson back. With a big-time money contract, the highest paid non-quarterback, in history of the league. He has got a huge deal. He's staying with the Vikings for a long period of time, and he's ready to rock and roll. He's doing great in warmups as well. The Vikings look physical on the edge as well. Dallas Turner is doing quite well as a rookie edge for this team. He is improving. He's improving more. He's impressing a lot of coaches and a lot of defensive coaches as well. He's looking like he could be a true problem for the NFC North Division early on. So he's doing quite well. The only thing that's got to shape up a little bit more from my point of view from training camp and preseason is the Vikings offensive line. They got to improve a little bit more on the line, on the O-line, but they can get that shaped up. Aaron Jones is there. He's getting warming up. They are going to split reps between Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler. The running game is going to be a big problem for defenses against the Vikings. The Vikings are going to utilize that quite well, I believe, with the addition of Aaron Jones now there in Minnesota. So watch out for the Vikings. They look good in initial warm-ups, like an underrated team, but it's going to be hard, especially in that getting kind of crowded NFC North Division. So that's my recap of the Vikings training camp and what I've been seeing from Minnesota. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons going on there. Another injury report coming out from them in here in a little bit, but Kirk Cousins is doing quite well as the Vikings quarterback. He's warming up quite nicely. His Achilles looks good. He's looking good on the feet. He's throwing the ball quite well, making accurate decisions. He's building chemistry with his top receivers. He's doing quite well. Bijan Robinson's doing well as well. That offense can click in a matter of minutes. Defensive line is going to get an upgrade here shortly, and we're going to talk about that later on in the podcast episode. And it's going to be quite good to see that defensive line build up even more. They are physical. They're going to be a team that probably will compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South Division. So I would just say watch out for Atlanta this year. There's depending on their schedule and depending on how physical they can be in that division, I would watch out for the Atlanta Falcons and let's see what they got up their sleeve. They're building up and they're doing quite well. Michael Penix is actually doing quite well in warmups as well as the backup for Kirk Cousins. So watch out for Michael Penix as well in the near future when he does eventually get playing time. If he does get playing time anytime soon. So that was the Atlanta Falcons training camp and my recap of the Atlanta Falcons training camp. We're moving quite along with these training camp coverages, but last but not least, let's talk about the Washington Commanders and let's discuss the improvement of Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels has done great. They're a little bit worried about the happy feet thing, about him running and getting hit hard. He had a real big problem with that in college at LSU. He used to get hit hard when running the football, and a lot of people would come up and hit him really hard. He even got a fumble and a turnover in the Ole Miss game last season because he got hit so hard. Almost got a turnover because he got hit so hard in the opener against Florida State last season. But Jayden Daniels is improving through the air even more. He threw a deep ball to Terry McLaurin in training camp. The other day, and it looked really, really good. He's making better decisions. Decision making, especially in the NFL, is a little bit different than in college. So he's got to get better as a decision maker in the pro level. But he's still got time to do that. He's a rookie, but he's making some good and accurate decisions. I think what the Commanders need really, and what the Commanders lack. Really, they have Austin Eckler, which is good, as Eckler's doing quite well. I think they need to build a little bit more coming out of training camp, and this is going to take time because it's a rebuilding season. This is Dan Quinn's first year as head coach with a new staff, which includes offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury at Washington. It's going to include a more of a rebuild of the O-line and more receivers coming out for Jayden Daniels to help him out. It's a little bit different with the Vikings and the Falcons because they have a little bit more than the Commanders. The Commanders are doing great. Don't get me wrong. They're surprising me in initial warm-ups for training camp and practices. They can look good under Jayden Daniels, but the key is here, they got to get more help for Jayden Daniels, just besides Terry McLaurin and besides Austin Eckler. They need more and more depth at the receiver position and more depth in the O-line positions. And I think that's the big key here for the Commanders. Jonathan Allen on the defensive side of things is fine. Leading that defense, they look good in Washington. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how physical they can be in the NFC East. So that's my recap and my coverage of the Washington Commanders. And that's really my coverage in whole training camp coverage for the Vikings, Falcons, and the Commanders. We will do one more training camp coverage next week with 3 teams. I'm not going to say it until the end of Tuesday's episode coming up, but next week will be our last round of training camp coverages, and I'll get on to doing some research on that this weekend. But our last round of training camp coverages are next Thursday before we move on and get deeper into the regular season stuff as we move on to the season. So that was our training camp coverages. Let's talk about the injury reports because it is lining up. It's scary how many people are already getting hurt. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be insensitive. No one can help it. But I think the problem is a lot of games, a lot of the week, you're building your body up for a 17-week, 17-week season, trying to make it 18 weeks. And you have that, but you also have 4 weeks of training. You also have 4 to 5 weeks of training camp, including, you have more than that. You have OTAs during the off season and mini camps, and then you got training camp, 4 to 5 weeks of training camp from July to almost till September. So that's mainly like 6 weeks. Then you got 4 weeks of preseason games. Then you got a 17-week season, including more if you want to make it to the Super Bowl and the playoffs. So it's a lot. It takes a toll on the body. I keep saying this. You could do another episode on this, and I can talk about this all day long. I'm beating a dead horse with it. If you want to extend the season, we need to either lower the dates for training camp and lower the weeks, or cut some preseason weeks. Or if not, you're not going to do that, don't add an 18-week. Because it takes a toll on the body. A lot of people are ended up being hurt, and a lot of things are happening within, the NFL and the league because of everything, right? Because of injuries and what's going on there. So it's quite different. You're right. You're trying to for example, you're trying to add more to yourself when people are already getting hurt, and it's not right. You're trying to add more things to people and to players when they don't need it right now because they're getting hurt too bad, right? So a lot going on there, but we're going to talk about that and going to discuss everything going on right now within training camp. So our reports are coming in on my phone. But going on with training camp coverages and it is going on with, injuries and everything. So let's talk about the injury reports. Let's discuss it kind of deeper. I'll go through a list, I won't discuss it into depth. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons first because we mentioned the Atlanta Falcons. Rondale Moore, an update on him. He got air casted last week, and news broke about him, I don't know what the full extent of the injury, tearing his ACL or whatnot, but he, in fact, did injure his knee. He is going to be out for the year. So the Falcons have lost Rondale Moore for the season due to the knee injury. We pray for him, and we hope that everything goes well and that he makes a quick recovery. Tough break there, a speedy receiver, and he was going to be a good viable option for Kirk Cousins. They lose him at training camp last week for the season due to that leg injury. So Rondale Moore is injured. We pray for him, and we hope everything goes well with him, and he makes a quick and speedy recovery. To the Vikings, two big injuries have happened. Number one, Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy hurt his knee in training camp, and he needed to undergo surgery to decide emergency surgery to decide his evaluation and how his timetable for recovery. He tore his meniscus fully. The surgery was 100%. He had surgery. His knee is now, the meniscus is now 100% fully repaired, but the recovery time is the whole season. So J.J. McCarthy will be out for the season. He will miss his rookie season with the Minnesota Vikings, and he is out for the 2024 season. We wish J.J. McCarthy a quick recovery, and we pray for him and hope that he feels better soon. Tough break for J.J. McCarthy as he was competing for the backup job behind Sam Darnold and eventually the starting job, and a lot of promise. Now J.J. McCarthy, they lose a big part, and the first round, number 10 overall draft pick for the season. So that's tough for him. What happened at training camp with the Vikings is Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison went down, and this is a sign of good news. You're going to think that's not good news, but let me just finish. He went down, and he was carted off the field after a lobbed contested football, but the injury is not that serious, luckily. Kevin O'Connell, Vikings head coach, has announced that the injury is not that serious, and Jordan Addison could miss maybe a few days. He may be day to day, but he may not miss week one, and it's not that serious. So good news out of that. They don't lose Jordan Addison for a long period of time because he is a good number 2 option behind Justin Jefferson in the receiving core. So good news out of that. We'll keep you updated on Jordan Addison as time goes on, and we're going to pray for him as he heals quickly and recovers quickly. Good news out of the Miami Dolphins. Jalen Phillips, linebacker for Jalen Phillips. He tore his Achilles last season. He is back with the team. He has been cleared and activated to practice and practice in training camp and train with the team and get ready for week 1 of the regular season. The Dolphins are ready to rock and roll with Jalen Phillips. Good news for him. Welcome back to the team, Jalen Phillips. He is back and ready to go. More injury updates. We have, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We have Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown. Update on him. What happened there is he had a shoulder dislocation, a shoulder joint dislocation. No surgery is needed. He will be fine. He's going to be out. Expected to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. He will miss week 1 of the regular season against the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, the opening kickoff of the NFL season, the game that I'm covering. So Marquise Brown will not be available in that game, but he will be available at some point during the regular season. So we pray that he heals up quickly, and we are hoping that he makes a speedy recovery there. So that was an update on Marquise Brown and the latest on him. A lot of injuries have happened, and it's just going to take time, right? It's going to take time for a lot going on. Speaking of more injuries, we got one from yesterday that happened. Matthew Stafford experienced joint or hamstring tightness in the joint training camp practice with the Cowboys yesterday. He exited. We don't know the status of him today right now, but I'll get more updates on Matthew Stafford as time goes on and as we find out more. But he was injured, and he felt something in his hamstring not right. So pray for Matthew Stafford that he heals it quickly and he is ready for week 1 of the regular season. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs, hamstring injury there. It's not serious, luckily. Dan Campbell has announced, and that he is and this is per Jordan Schultz of Bleacher Report, and it is not serious, and he is expected to play versus the Rams on Sunday Night Football in week 1. So he is expected to be back by then. He's just going to rest it, and everything's going to go good. It's not serious for Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's very good news and a sigh of relief for Detroit Lions fans. A lot of injuries, man, and I'm going to tell you what, it's a lot of injuries for this team. Another injury we can mention is the New York Giants. Giants running back Tyrone Tracy, rookie running back Tyrone Tracy, had a knee sprain. He avoided a serious injury after being carted off with an air cast a few days ago. It's wonderful news. He's going to heal up quickly. Hopefully it's doesn't turn anything to be any serious, and he's going to rest, and he'll be ready to go during the season. So we pray for him and hope he gets a speedy recovery as well. A lot of injuries, man. I'm telling you, a lot of injuries. Cowboys offensive tackle Chuma Edaja. He had a toe injury. He's expected to be out going into the regular season, so he may miss some time into the regular season. We pray for him, and hopefully he heals up quite quickly and everything goes good for him as well. That was the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. A bunch of injuries to report. If there's more injuries, we're going to keep you updated on X and on this podcast, so we'll keep you up to date on the NFL edition, on the NFL injury report for Pigskin Frenzy. So a lot of injuries just happened, and that's all that we got out of this, and we will see more when we can. So we can talk about pretty big things, pretty big news. And to me, it is quite big. It is quite big. And a lot of trades and a lot of stuff going on and maneuvering going on within the league. So let's talk about the contracts and holdouts before we conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Let's talk about the big one, the two big ones as of right now, and then we'll give you my final thoughts on the other two. Three, they're all pretty big, but let's start off with this one. Yesterday, on Wednesday, news broke that edge rusher Matthew Judon, he did request a trade, and it has been approved. The Falcons, and that's why I said the Falcons are getting an upgrade on the defensive line, because they are. The Falcons have officially traded a third-round pick to the Patriots for edge rusher Matthew Judon. Matthew Judon is now an Atlanta Falcon. He's going to be in a big upgrade for the Falcons on the edge and on the defensive line for this team. Going to be a good upgrade for this Atlanta team. Matthew Judon going to Atlanta before the season starts. Good on Atlanta for getting an upgrade in the on the defensive line. They are getting a good play, a good defensive edge and an underrated edge rusher, and it's going to help out, especially to get to the quarterback and just play physical football on the defensive front of things. So good for Atlanta to get him, and good. And a good deal is that the Patriots got a third-round pick out of it. So that saga is kind of over. Matthew Judon will get the contract that he wants with the Atlanta Falcons, and the Patriots get a third-rounder out of it. So Matthew Judon is headed to A-Town, and he is going to be a Falcon this season, and most likely will play for the Falcons week 1. So Matthew Judon traded to the Atlanta Falcons. So my thoughts on that are, like I said, going to be a good upgrade for the front of the Atlanta Falcons. So that's really all I got for that one. It's nothing too big. They get an underrated edge threat, and that's going to be a problem for opposing offensive lines and quarterbacks, so they got to watch out for Judon in the NFC South. So my thoughts exactly. Good trade and a good thing for the Falcons and the Patriots all around. So that's the latest on that, and good on Judon for getting getting a fresh start and new contract. So the latest one is Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick for the New York Jets, edge rusher. He has officially requested a trade. This was announced Tuesday, right after I got done with the Pigskin Frenzy podcast for college football. Announces, hey, I'm out. I want out. Here's my problem with this. And here's where the realness of Joel comes out here, and my honest thoughts comes out on everything. I text my family, and I text my mom the other day. I said, Mom, I am going to get real on this episode. She goes, what do you mean get real? And I said, I'm going to get real on this episode about talking about some of these trades and some of the things going on within the National Football League right now. She goes, uh-oh. And she always does that as a joke when she goes, uh-oh, like, it's getting serious now as a joke. But I'm being, in a way, it's like, man, it needs to be addressed. I don't agree with him requesting a trade. One, he's never played for the Jets. He hasn't played down football for the Jets. So how does he know what he really wants? He wants more money. I understand that, because when the Eagles traded him. They traded the contract that he had with the Eagles to the Jets. He just wants a better contract. I get that. But he has not made an impact for the Jets enough to ask for that money and to hold out for that money. Now he wants a trade. To me, Haason Reddick is a good edge, an underrated edge rusher, but he's not at the level of a Brian Burns, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, TJ Watt type edge threat to be making along the lines of that kind of money. And I think that he's a good player, but the market of 25 to 28 million is a little much, don't you think? And I've said that before, but I just think it's a little bit much for him to be asking for a trade to get that kind of money somewhere. If he does and gets that kind of money, good for him. I'm not going to hate on that. I just think that he needs to prove himself a little bit more. And I think that he hasn't done that with the Jets yet. And the Jets are willing to pay him that, but they want him to play it down a football first for the Jets. So Haason Reddick wants out. He doesn't want to play for the Jets. He wants a new contract for another team. We're going to see if everything happens. Jets GM Joe Douglas has said that he was not going to trade Haason Reddick, so now we got a problem, a little bit of an issue on our hands there. But we will see where everything takes us with Haason Reddick as we move closer to the regular season. But that's the latest update on edge rusher Haason Reddick. If we have anything else, we're going to talk about it, and we'll talk about it on this show, and I will keep you updated on X. So that's the latest on Haason Reddick. He has officially requested a trade from the New York Jets. Let's talk about two more things before we conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Let's talk about wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. We talked about last week how he wasn't interested in the Patriots, and he wasn't interested in that. Well, more news broke. He's not interested in the Browns either, so the Browns are out as well. And new reports show that the Niners and Ayuk have been talking again, which is good. Good. They're making leeway, and an offer could be presented for Brandon Ayuk. But another offer could be presented by the Steelers. We're going to talk about this and break this down. So the Browns, let's talk about the Browns. The Browns had an offer in place for Brandon Ayuk. It was going to be a good amount of offer, good offer, with a loaded wide receiver room with Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, and a loaded wide receiver room in general. They were going to trade Amari Cooper, a second-round pick, and a fifth-round pick to the Niners for Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk and the Niners rejected that offer because Brandon Ayuk was not interested in playing for the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns are now out of the sweepstakes for Brandon Ayuk, and there's only two options left because they're talking again, and he talked to Shanahan and others and other personnel, and he is they're kind of voiced their disagreements and their agreements and everything, and now they are trying to get and work out a long-term deal for the Niners and Brandon Ayuk to stay with the team. There's two options. If it fits Brandon Ayuk's what he's looking for, that's one option. Option number two, the Pittsburgh Steelers are still in play. They are still in play, and they are getting an offer ready for Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers, and they are willing to bring Brandon Ayuk to the Steel City and make him a part of a receiving core that has George Pickens in there, and also has a quarterback with Justin Fields and or Russell Wilson that can throw him the ball and give him the ball. So help out on that offense, along with Pat Freiermuth as a tight end. So there's two plans in play here. What's he going to choose? I don't know that to be exact, but it's an interesting case with Brandon Ayuk as we continue to get closer to the NFL season. My honest thoughts are, honestly, I think if you really wanted to, if you really all you really want at first is a long-term extension with the Niners, right? Stay with the Niners if that's what you want. But if you don't want to be with the Niners, then it's really that simple. Then choose the Steelers. But we're just going to have to see what the regular season holds and what it holds for Brandon Ayuk and what holds for him with those two options. That's the latest updates on wide receiver Brandon Ayuk with the Niners and the Steelers and everything going on there. If we have anything coming out, we will get to it, and we will talk about it next Thursday on Pigskin Frenzy. That's the latest on Brandon Ayuk and the updates with him going on there. Final thoughts before we conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Let's talk about CeeDee Lamb and the latest with the Cowboys and the contract offers and extensions and trying to get him a long-term deal. They say they're prioritizing it. And I've said this. We're going back to this now. They've said, and I'm leaning back in the chair because I'm talking now. They've said they prioritized it. But have they really? Let me tell you something. Let me just give you examples. We really want him to stay with the team. We're willing to do everything it takes. Then that's what that is quote from Cowboys COO Stephen Jones. Owner Jerry Jones, his dad, has said there's no sense of urgency to get him back, but he's missed. He is missed. So what are we doing here? That's my thing, and we can title this episode "What Are We Really Doing?" And that is my honest thoughts. What are we really doing here? Going on, what are we really doing going on with the CeeDee Lamb stuff? What's going on with the saga? Are you urgent, or is that your priority, or is it not your priority? It's kind of wishy-washy. Like some days it's a priority and some days it's not. And a quote that came out yesterday was Cowboys COO Stephen Jones. He said, and this is what kind of boggled my mind. This is per him and per Yahoo Sports, all official. Go and look it up. All credit to them. He said that CeeDee Lamb needs to have an average of 15 to 12 targets per game to be getting the kind of money that he wants and a longer-term deal that he wants with the Cowboys. And this is they said this the other day on the the Doomsday podcast. This is what is their quote too, Stephen Jones' quote too, that they have no room, no idea, and no thing, and they have nothing on it. They do not want to shop or trade or move CeeDee Lamb. So what are we doing here? That's my question. What are we doing here? I am in agreement with CeeDee Lamb. I am backing CeeDee Lamb on this only because last season he had the best season that he's ever had. He's had the best season so far that he has had in the NFL. He said, man, around week 4, he said, man, I need to get more love. I need to get more touches. Come on, let's get more touches. I can be a game changer for this offense. Dak said, all right, we'll prove it, and we'll get you more touches. Dak gave him more touches. CeeDee Lamb did not disappoint, especially in the Detroit Lions game. He put up near 200-plus receiving yards with 11 to 12, maybe 12 receptions in that game. CeeDee Lamb could not be stopped in a lot of games last season for the Cowboys. He has given the Cowboys what they've wanted out of CeeDee Lamb. He has done quite well. He can have another season like that. My point is this. My point with this is that CeeDee Lamb can sign a short-term deal for this season and play and prove himself even more, but are they really going to give him the long-term deal that he wants? Even if he becomes the difference maker week 1 through week 17 all season long. 12 to 15 games, 100-plus receiving yards per game average all throughout the season. Are they still going to give him the deal that he needs and that he deserves? I don't know about that because we are living in the world of Jerry Jones. This is not a knock at Jerry Jones, but they do not prioritize a lot up there. And it's the truth. It's the truth. They end up winning. And they end up, going to the playoffs, and then they end up getting knocked out like that. My point is this. They need to take this seriously. They really do. Work on trying to get CeeDee Lamb back for the start of the regular season. Am I saying sign him to a contract higher than Jefferson? No. But I am saying is give him a deal that's going to suffice you guys, but also suffice him, because it's not fair. It can't be a one-way street. It can't be a one-way street. You got to make it a two-way street when it comes to these contract situations. I've said this multiple times. It's got to be a contract scenario to where it fits both needs. That's my thoughts on it. I think the Cowboys need to prioritize this a lot more than what they have been. they said that there's no urgency, but they've also said that there is urgency to get CeeDee Lamb back, but they're really not showing it. It seems like a bit of a wishy-washy situation with CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys. And my honest thoughts on it are, let's try to get him back by the season, because he is the best receiver on that team, and he is the number one target for Dak Prescott, and he is a difference maker in that Cowboys offense. So that's my honest thoughts. My honest thoughts about everything. We got to get the job done and to try to win, this season. So that's my honest thoughts on everything. That is pretty much all I got for Pigskin Frenzy today. Guys, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow, like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories, go and answer today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Beard Club, go and check out the Beard Club back to school sale, 25% off with the code BTS25. Also on the link tree as well. Guys, big thank you. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. We will be back Tuesday for we've done this last season as well, our 2024 college football preseason Q&A. This coming up this Tuesday. We're going to do a college football preseason Q&A coming up this Tuesday, and then we will also preview and predict the Week 0 matchup between number 10 ranked Florida State and Georgia Tech in Dublin. So don't miss Tuesday's episode, College Football Edition of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, I hope you enjoy this weekend. We will be back next Thursday also with an NFL edition of Pigskin Frenzy. But until this coming up Tuesday's College Football Edition of Pigskin Frenzy, Q&A edition of College Football edition of Pigskin Frenzy, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you Tuesday for that. Enjoy this week, the rest of your day and this weekend. Please and always stay the course and have a beautiful Thursday afternoon.